Yep.
Yes, sir. And we are live on YouTube and on channel 2 right now, so whenever you feel like it, but don't say anything crazy. Eric, since we may have some other guests joining before, you might want to make a quick announcement about making sure you're muted. So we don't have any.
All right. Yes, I will do that. Thank you. It is 7 o'clock. Mr. Mayor, would you like to call the meeting to order?
Yes, let's call this meeting to order. City of North Kansas City, Missouri, regular council meeting, May 5th, 2020. We have a moment of silence.
I believe it's Mr. Clevenger's turn to lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, Zach.
Ready? Okay. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Councilmember Clevenger,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Councilmember Steffen,
Yes.
Councilmember Farr,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong,
Present.
Councilmember Pierce,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman.
Yes.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Could we please have a motion and a second to approve the agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
Councilmember Farr, seconded by Councilmember Pierce. Can you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Clevenger,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Councilmember Steffen,
Yes.
Councilmember Farr,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong,
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman.
Yes.
Hunter, take it.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is comments from the public. We have only one. It is from Vicky Kistler at 2117 Gentry, who writes, just wanted to take a moment to say thank you for the banner for the North Kansas City High School graduates. It is wonderful to recognize them in this way. And that is the one and only public comment for tonight. The next item, or the next on the agenda, is the consent agenda, which includes items 6 through 11. Does someone have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Councilmember Farr, seconded by Councilmember Pierce. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Clevenger,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Councilmember Steffen,
Yes.
Councilmember Farr,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong,
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman.
yes,
Thank you. The next item, item 12, recommendation to bid out water treatment plant project. Sorry, Madam Clerk, I stole your thunder there, but the water treatment plant renovation project is design is complete and it is ready to bid. When the coronavirus crisis hit in March, a decision was made to place bidding this project on hold while we performed an initial assessment of the effects of the virus on the city's finances. And there is yet much to be determined with regard to the crisis's effects on our various funds. But I do believe we have sufficient information to make a decision regarding bidding out this project. The fiscal year 2020 budget includes a transfer of about $6 million from the gaming fund to the water fund, which will combine with funds previously transferred to the water fund and fund a construction project estimated at about $12.8 million. This effort has been going on for over 6 years between looking at what is needed and proceeding with design, which has been going on for a couple of years now. As I said, the design is complete. So in the memo in your packet, I do note that with the approved agenda, that the budget that was approved at the beginning of the year, we were budgeted to end the gaming fund balance with about $21 million. We do estimate some fairly significant declines in gaming revenues. We are assuming at this time, for budgeting purposes, that gaming revenues and admissions tax will decline by 50%. That may be a pessimistic estimate, but that's our current estimate for purposes of trying to determine a fund balance at the end of the year. We also would anticipate at this point that the federal grant for the Burlington Corridor project will be deferred until next year. I go through some other items that would reduce the fund balance. I won't go through them all in the memo unless you have questions, but ended up, if you assume a number of things, that could reduce the fund balance to about $12 million. However, I then do list a number of projects that would suggest be deferred or that we assume would be deferred. That being the Burlington Corridor project, that's an $8.3 million expenditure. Number of others, downtown streetscape improvements. I don't think this is the year for that. Perina Mill demolition, which we've budgeted every year for a number of years now, currently are showing a $4 million expenditure for that. Would not expect that to occur this fiscal year. If you add those items back in, it would leave us with a fund balance of about $28 million in the gaming fund. As I said, there are other funds that also are a concern, but this is the gaming fund, and the primary source of funds of that, of course, are casino revenues. So we have some general idea of where that should stand. Fewer variables involved with that particular fund. We do consider the water treatment plant project to be a crucial one for the city. We don't think, subject to your discussion, that it's really elective in nature. Certainly, there are many capital projects which, given the current crisis, we should defer. But this is one that we assume that is going to move forward at some point. And as I looked at this, it seems to me that there were more advantages in proceeding now than in delaying further. And so I am recommending to you that you allow us to move forward with bidding the project. And that concludes the staff report, and I await your direction. Councilmember DeLong.
I agree with staff on this. I think this is a pretty important project. I know several of us did a tour last year. We'll be getting a firsthand kind of view and be able to discuss with the water plant operator, what's going on out here. And there's definitely a lot of these things that are outdated, need work. I definitely support this one going through. I had a question on a couple of these other projects, though, like the Perina Mill demolition.
Yes, sir.
How long do we have any idea how long those mills can stay up before something has to be done about them?
Well, they are in a condition now where we definitely don't want anybody around them. They are dangerous for people to be in the vicinity of. However, there is no, to our knowledge, imminent danger of them simply collapsing.
Okay, and as of right now, that's still not really our responsibility to take care of.
We have declared
Correct.
them dangerous, so that gives us a certain responsibility. We are not the owner of the property, though.
Okay, and then no, that's the only other one I got. Thank you.
Councilmember Pierce, I believe you were next.
I also agree with staff on this. I think we need to take care of our water. And I also think that it would not look really great given the current situation. If we started doing a lot of renovation projects, there'd be a lot of questions, I'm quite sure. So I agree with staff. We can put these off until another time. Thank you.
I think Councilmember Clevenger was next.
Thank you. Definitely in agreement with both council members. The water treatment plant, certainly we're going to be cautious with our money now with what's going on with the COVID-19. I mean, we're always good stewards, but I agree with the projects that they have here as far as putting those off. I agree in going forward with bidding out the water treatment plant. I just had one question regarding the Burlington corridor, those STP grants of, I believe it's 3.8 million. So that is okay. We can push that to 2021. We're not required to spend those federal funds into 2020 when we receive them. Is that correct?
And Ms. Copeland, you could jump in, but my understanding is that we are good with it with a 1-year deferral. Is there any other council member who has a question or comment? Would somebody like to make a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Councilmember Farr, seconded by Councilmember Clevenger.
Councilmember Clevenger,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Councilmember Stefan,
Yes.
Councilmember Farr,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong,
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman,
Yes.
8-0. Number 13, approval of change order number 2, phase 2B, ARRA improvements, resolution number 20-030.
Thank you. I'd like to call on the Community Development Director, Sarah Copeland.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Phase 2B improvements in the Armour Road redevelopment area includes the extension of a water line on the south side of Armour Road between Vernon and Taney Streets, a new median on Taney, completion of the right turn lane taper to Vernon, some driveway removal, sidewalk extension, and landscaping. This work is being done by Mega Industries. During their construction, Mega found an abandoned stormwater line that was lying in conflict with the location of the water line extension that needed to be removed. And in addition, the water service line for Snappy's gas station that was called out in the plans as a 3/4 line was found to be a 2-inch line, requiring another change to the plans. This change order that's before you tonight for formal action is to account for the additional work required for these two conditions. The change order was received right before the City Council's last meeting on April 21st. And so we did discuss it with you informally during staff comments. This resolution before you tonight is for formal approval of this work. The additional cost of this change order is $9,167.87. The addition of this to the total contract still leaves us with $22,692.55 of budget authority for this project. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Mayor Stilo?
Yes, I drive by that every day, and it looked to me like they had all the curbs in there and everything else ready to put the road back, and then all of a sudden they went in there and dug another great big hole, knocked the curb out, and now I see some like 4-foot concrete sewer lines down there. Do we have a sewer line that big down there?
Yes, actually, Mega, in doing their work, found that we had a collapsed storm line underneath where the water, a couple of feet under where the water line was going. And I believe that it's a 56-inch storm sewer, although Pat Hopper might want to clarify that. So that is right now the work that you see being done is to repair that collapsed storm sewer, which isn't related to the phase 2B work. It's just in the same location. So that will delay the completion of the phase 2B project while they need to wait for that storm sewer to be repaired before they can move forward to get the work finished.
Since that
Okay.
comes up, could I ask the Public Works Director, Pat Hopper, to elaborate a little bit on the city storm sewer that's collapsed?
Sure. Thank you, Eric. In the 90s, we lined all the sanitary sewers, as I think you all know, but we also lined all the storm sewers, most of them, in fact. But for some reason, a 72-inch storm sewer line that goes down Armour Road and in front of Starbucks, there's a 50-foot section of that was still corrugated metal. So I don't know why, but from one manhole to another, it was still corrugated metal, and it collapsed. And we're working with Musselman Hall, and they ordered the pipe. The pipe came in today, and they started construction on that.
That's more good news than the Water Pollution Control Fund.
Thank you.
If there are there any other questions about the agenda item? If not, is there a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Farr, second by Councilmember Stewart.
Councilmember Clevenger,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Councilmember Steffen,
Yes.
Councilmember Farr,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong,
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman.
Yes.
8-0, motion carries. Number 14, contract between the city and the Central Jackson County Fire Protection District EMS Training Division. Resolution number 20-029.
Thank you. I'd like to call on the Fire Chief, Dave Hargis.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The contract before you tonight is with the Central Jackson County Fire Protection District's EMS training. We've been working on this for a little while prior to the COVID pandemic. However, it's kind of come to the forefront now as we have 7 of our members in that school, and they are not able to do clinical time anywhere else in the city. This contract will allow them to do at least 50% of their clinical time at our own facility and allow them to progress in the paramedic school. And when this all clears up and we start letting outside people in, then we'll be doing paramedic students from other jurisdictions in here as well. But right now, if we pass this contract, we'll be able to get our guys going right away. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
All right. I'll move to approve resolution 20029.
Second.
Councilmember Clevenger,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Councilmember Steffen,
Yes.
Councilmember Farr,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong,
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman.
Yes.
8-0, motion carried. Number 15, approving accounts due and payable by the city through May 1st, 2020. Bill number 7503, ordinance number 9300.
First reading.
Second.
Councilmember Clevenger,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Councilmember Steffen,
Yes.
Councilmember Farr,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong,
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman.
Yes.
8-0, an ordinance approving accounts due and payable by the city through May 1st, 2020.
I move that bill number 7503 be placed on second and final reading and passes ordinance number 9300.
Second.
Councilmember Clevenger,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Councilmember Stefan,
Yes.
Councilmember Farr,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong,
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman.
Yes.
An ordinance approving accounts due and payable by the city through May 1st, 2020. Eric, I think you're muted.
Thank you. I apologize. The next item is staff comments. The upcoming city items of note is in your packet. Would also like you to, if you could, put on your calendars, as long as those dates are okay, for our budget work sessions. We have traditionally done 2 budget work sessions in September. The first, typically the Wednesday after the first council meeting of the month. This year, that would be Wednesday, September 2nd, and then traditionally the second Tuesday of the month, which would be Tuesday, September 8th. So I can send those dates out to you for you to put on your calendar, but those are our typical dates, and unless there are objections, we'd like to count on that. The next item is the Police Department Annual Report, which we have placed into your packet for your review. If you have any questions, I'm sure Chief Freeman can answer them. And then lastly, the YMCA Monthly Financial Report for March. Are there any questions about the staff comments? Seeing none, the next item is council member comments, beginning with Councilmember Clevenger.
Well, thank you. Looks like the YMCA was chugging right along there until we hit the COVID. So wanted to give thanks to our board members that are returning, re-upping. Looks like we're doing several with the Parks Board and also with the police and fire. So thank you for continuing to serve. And I wanted to thank staff for helping out with a couple of questions that I've had. A couple of people have asked about, they don't know the situation about the pools and the Anita Gorman pool. And there was a question on Facebook as well, and staff responded very, very quickly to that. And also helping us with some issues in the avenues and on 21st and some speeding. So want to thank you for helping out with that. So that's really all I have tonight. Thank you.
Councilmember Stewart.
I just want to say how much I like that banner across the street honoring our graduates. They're missing out on a lot, as we know, and that's to let them know we're thinking of them. And if nobody's seen it, the library has their plan out. I don't know if everybody's read it or not, but it's pretty lengthy, but it's pretty step by step. So if you haven't read that yet, I'm sure it's on their website. And I think it was on the city website too. I mean, our mail. That's all I have.
Councilmember Stefan.
Well, I'd like to say I think a lot of the thanks should go to Councilmember Pierce on the banner for the high school seniors across the banner that goes across Armour Road. And secondly, I'd like to mention that last Sunday in Overland Park, police officer Mike Mosher was killed in a gunfight. He's only 35 years of age, and our thoughts and prayers are with his family. He left us too early.
Just want to thank staff for all their diligent work in this time. The banner is wonderful, Rita. Great idea. And the wife and I were out driving around yesterday just to see what was open and what wasn't. And lo and behold, the corner cafe was open up for business. We actually went and sat down. They were doing social distancing every 6 feet apart, but they were open for business. It was wonderful. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, I got a few things here tonight. First one, have we received our CARES Act funding yet from the county?
I'm sorry, what funding was that, sir?
The CARES Act funding that was being passed through the county, or supposed to be being passed through the county?
No, sir. That's in flux. So that would be due to be received by the county tomorrow, I believe. I did send you a note on Friday regarding a vote of the county commission to distribute those funds in a particular way. However, there does seem to be some dispute amongst the members of the commission, presiding commissioner versus the two other commissioners. Presiding commissioner signed the resolution, but also added some comments to it that makes it a little unclear as to exactly what the status of the county receiving the funding is. And there are ongoing discussions about whether the money will be distributed in the way that the commission voted on Friday. So there is still a lot uncertain about the county receiving the funding or exactly how and when it will be distributed. We are monitoring the situation as closely as we can, but there is a lot of uncertainty still at the county level. So I'll keep you informed as we understand it.
Okay, and then you were in on those meetings, so I just had another question for you. It looks like the Kansas City, when they're saying they're short money proportionally, well, one, they have a population number different than what was proposed, and the other half of it looks like they're taking that population proportion percentage and just taking it straight at that $29 million. Do you know why there was 10% withdrawn for a health, and then there's another, like the school districts also got percentages as well? Was that standard kind of what's been going on through counties, or do you know why that happened like that way?
Well, I think each county is in the state can make its own determinations about how to distribute those funds. And that was a decision that was what the county staff recommended to the county commission. And that was what the county commission passed. But I do know that Kansas City would like to see the funds distributed proportionally. But as you say, I also know that there seems to be some dispute as to what Kansas City's population is. So that is part of the ongoing discussion that's going on up at the county level.
Well, if we could just use our daytime population, I would be good with that. 25,000. So.
No, unfortunately, North Kansas City, that in this sense, yes, we, as we all know, we are a larger city than our population actually would indicate. But in this case, yeah, we're going to be stuck.
Well, I figured if we were throwing new numbers out, that's the new number I'll go with. If you guys go back to the table on that.
I'll note that to the commission. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Definitely, I do feel like we staff and plan, and a lot of our stuff, as you said, is based on more so what's happening here during the day. So, yeah, so we always get the kind of the short end of that, proportionally. Another one, if council's interested in discussing a topic like this, I'd be interested in considering some sort of hazard pay for first responders, or frankly, any employee that's been in contact with the public during the pandemic. If anyone would have any interest in discussing that at the next meeting.
If you like, sir, I could put that on at least as a discussion.
Or just add it. I mean, if no one else wants to talk about it next meeting, then if I at least get one, okay. We at least got one. Okay, there you go. Then awesome. Okay, and then another one about sales tax reports. How often do we get sales tax reports from the Department of Revenue?
Monthly, and it's about this time, right about this week is usually when we get those.
So we would be getting last month's report, correct, for April? You'd be getting about now.
Yes, we would be
just
getting
like a 5-day lag.
Well, okay. I think the next one we would actually get would be for March, but if the finance director's on the line and wants to correct me, but I believe that would be about the lag, and I think March is the next one we'd get.
Okay,
March
so we're
is
still
the
waiting.
next one.
Okay,
March is
so we're
the
probably
next
still
one.
really waiting on next month to find out kind of what our hardest hit month looked like then. All right. Other than that, I just want to bring up a couple. I got my green ribbon on tonight. Got a couple things in Mental Health Awareness Month, as well as it's also Lyme Disease Awareness Month. And as many of you know, my wife has chronic Lyme disease. And so I just want to read a little bit here and give a resource. So Lyme disease is a bacterial infection primarily transmitted by deer ticks, typically found in wood and grassy areas. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimate 300,000 people are diagnosed with Lyme disease each year in the U.S. Testing still remains 50% accurate, with the average patient going 2 or more years before getting proper diagnosis. And overall, it's a complex multi-system illness, which if caught early can be easily treated with antibiotics. If left untreated, it invades your nervous system, your heart, and your organs, causing years of pain, suffering, severe disability, and could even death. children are at highest risk of contracting it, and that's when she caught it. So definitely just wanted to give, they got LymeDisease.org, LYME disease.org, where you can find more information about signs, symptoms, treatment, and how to prevent it. And that's all. Let me check the list. That's all I got tonight. Thank you.
Councilmember Pierce.
I too would like to voice continued gratitude for our first responders. Also from a personal point of view, continued gratitude to the city of North Kansas City and their citizens and some of the businesses and others who continue to donate to Northland Assistance Center, which is located right here in Northtown. Thank you for getting the banner put together and up so quickly. I've heard so many positive comments, and in this time of so many difficulties, it's nice to have a beacon that everybody's looking to and seeing as something positive and recognizing our amazing students in North Kansas City. I agree with Councilmember DeLong. I'd sure like to use those population numbers from the day rather than our residential ones, particularly when it comes to allocating funds in regard to CARES. And hazard pay is a really good idea also. Brian, I think that's a great idea. You probably have researched it. I'm assuming that other places are using these funds for that. If not, I'm sure staff will look into it. I intend to make my first foray into one of our restaurants tomorrow. I'm going to go to Repeal 18. As I've seen the list updated, there's about 7 or 8 that have listed on the website that they're open. They seem to be keeping shorter hours. Chicken and Pickle was on TV tonight. You could certainly see the social distancing and the practices they put into place. I have every confidence that as business continue to open, they will use safe practices. It would be in their best interest and certainly in the best interest of our citizens. And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there in North Kansas City. That's all I have.
Councilmember Smith.
Okay, a couple things for me. So, Eric, do we have an update from Clay County on the availability for absentee or mail-in voting for the June election, given the circumstances?
I haven't heard of anything from the election board. Madam Clerk, have you heard anything regarding absentee ballots?
No, I have not. They haven't sent anything out.
We can ask about it.
Okay. I think it would be good to get, Bryant might have something there.
They have made some informal comments that I've seen through I haven't seen it firsthand, but I got forwarded emails basically saying, no one's going to be chasing after people if they use COVID as a reason. Not the most reassuring thing to tell people, so I've been still cautious on telling people because I want direct word, and we're still waiting on word from the state. Also, another legal opinion got sent around, legal memo, stating that all these lawyers also believe that COVID should be used as a valid, and I can forward you that as well, a valid excuse to kind of look over. I know the state today, they were still, that's still coming up, and they're still trying to get someone to give us some guidance, whether that be the governor or secretary of state. And there's a court case going on now as well. So it's something I've been following pretty closely here, and every county's doing their own thing right now. I just saw, I can't think of the county Columbia's in. Are they Boone County? One of them. Rita probably knows. There we go. You got it right. There we go. I'm learning more of my Missouri here. So I believe their county election board just sent out absentee ballots or absentee applications to everyone. So it's kind of just been a county by county thing. But there, my rambling over that is done.
Okay, yeah, and I think that would be important to get that information out. After the last meeting, I've had a lot of people asking me, when is the next election, and can we vote absentee? So I don't have that answer. It'd be great to know. I want to thank Kelly for putting out the Parks and Rec plan. It was really well thought out. Most things are remaining closed through May. June 1st for reopening on a number of facilities. So that's good to see, taking that really seriously. I also want to thank everyone who has emailed, called, or stopped by my house to voice their concerns about the reopen or to just speak about what they saw at the council meeting. Thank you for all of you that took the time to do that. And then in the vein of the coronavirus update, I pulled the stats from Clay County, Kansas City, Missouri, and North Kansas City. I'd like to share those with you. So since our special council meeting last Tuesday, in 1 week's time, Clay County has seen a 41% increase in cases over the past 7 days. North Kansas City cases have doubled, so 100% increase. And Kansas City, Missouri is up 153 cases, or a 30% increase since last Tuesday. So under that Clay County order that called for 14 days of declining new cases before we reopened, I guess we throw that one out the window because we're still going up pretty fast. That's all out of me.
Councilmember Pearman.
Yep. First of all, thank you for bringing up the absentee ballot issue. I would be interested in learning more about that and where we are with it, either from a state or if there's an opportunity to do something at the county level. So thank you, Councilmember Smith and Councilmember DeLong, for your thoughts on that.
Usually I can stay out of these sort of things, but I mean, do we think we could do some sort of resolution? I mean, even separate from council, maybe sign some sort of letter or something to send to Secretary of State or the governor and say, this is important to us. Guidance would be good. I mean, maybe not. Maybe that's out of our lane there as a group. But I definitely know, especially with a lot of vulnerable residents, there are people that want answers on what they can do.
I'd sign it.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, if I find someone a little bit more eloquent than I am to go ahead and type one of those out, then let me know. Okay, I'll message.
Sure, and if we can assist with that, let us know, and we'll be happy to help with that.
Wonderful, thank you.
That's fine.
I wanted to thank.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I have a whole list, Eric.
I apologize.
So I also want to say I agree with Councilmember Smith. Thank you to residents and neighbors for expressing opinions about our discussion regarding stay-at-home order. It's everyone has a voice, and it's really helpful to hear everyone's opinions on that. And here we go forward. So I hope we made the right decision. I'm afraid we have not, but I hope we did. Thank you to Councilmember Pierce for the idea about the North Kansas City banner. So North Kansas City High School banner, that's awesome. And you're right, it is a beacon of hope in a difficult time. So that was a great idea. Congratulations to Adam Dagonia, Pam Tucker, Kath Stanley, and Carolyn Manzo for board reappointments. I think, if everyone does a little, then we all do a lot. And I appreciate those who run for who are on boards and who continue to serve on boards. So appreciate your time and energy that you put into that. And also a special thank you to Pat Hoover in Public Works, and also our contractor Musselman and Hall for their work on the Northgate alleys. So they've been needing some attention for a while, and they're installing a very lovely new drainage ditch, or drain, not ditch, but drain back behind an alley. And it's looking really good. So thank you for that. I know it's probably challenging for neighbors because it's right in front of their driveways and their garages, but appreciate the time you guys are spending on that. And hopefully we can get those fixed up here in the next couple of years throughout our entire neighborhood. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Mayor Stila.
I like the banner too. I guess that's about all I got. Moving on.
All right, item 19.
Consideration of a request to hold and recess into an executive session as requested by the city administrator to be held on this date on a real estate matter pursuant to Missouri Revised Statute Section 610.0212.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Clevenger,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Councilmember Steffen,
Yes.
Councilmember Farr,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong,
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman,
Yes.
8-0. Item 20, Consideration of a request to hold and recess into an executive session as requested by the city administrator to be held on this date on a real estate matter pursuant to Missouri Revised Statutes, section 610.0212.
So moved.
Second.
Councilmember Clevenger,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Councilmember Steffen,
Yes.
Councilmember Farr,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember DeLong,
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Pearman,
Yes.
8-0.
So at this point, council members will stay on, and we will ask those staff members who are not participating in the executive sessions to leave at this point, and then we will bring in guests for the first executive session.
Can my dog Emma stay for the executive session?
Sure.
Emma's got to go.
Emma's gotta go.
Spider set.
along the way here so that we're financial experts.
Yeah, it only
I think
costs
that
about-
might be a conflict of interest if Jesse started educating us on our decisions. No
Yeah.
offense, Jesse.
I can flavor that any which direction I want.
Hey, you guys are live again.
I move to adjourn,
Second.
keeping with tradition.
Can I get a consensus of who made the second?
Whoever.
Okay, I saw Councilman Farr's
Jesse made,
arm go.
sorry, I've
Jesse?
been muted, but Jesse
Okay.
made the second. All right, so
Okay,
you
sorry.
have the motion in the second, Kim?
Yes, I do.
All
Thank
right,
you
I'll
and
call-
the time.
All right, I'll go ahead and call the roll just to make it official. Councilmember Clevenger,
Yes, sir.
Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Councilmember Stefan,
Yes.
Councilmember Farr,
Yes, sir.
Councilmember DeLong,
Yes.
Councilmember Pierce,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Pierman.
Yes.
Meeting is
Happy
adjourned.
Cinco, everybody.
Zip code Maya.
Happy Cinco de Mayo.